A major new exhibition at the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York is opening today, and it is impressively expansive. The Holocaust, What Hate Can Do, is a 12,000 square foot exhibit including hundreds of original artifacts and survivor testimonies from the museum's own collection. But most have never been on display to tell their stories before. Here to explain is co-curator at the Museum of Jewish Heritage and the director of the Finkler Institute of Holocaust Research at Bar-Ilan University, Judy Tidor Baumel-Schwartz. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to talk about this. Now, what is so unique, what's the unique angle, rather, to this exhibit?
Well, if we talk about an angle, let's first talk about what we're trying to do there. This is an exhibit. It's not a history book. In other words, we're telling the story of the Holocaust, but don't expect every detail to be there. Professor Yehuda Bauer, one of the world's foremost Holocaust experts, always says that to be a good historian, you have to know how to tell a good story. Well, the Museum of Jewish Heritage tells an incredible and an incredibly tragic story, and they do it through artifacts, through objects that are 95% from their own collection, and like the Torah scroll that we see here. They do it through graphics, as we're seeing now on the screen, timelines, explanations, wall texts, pictures, everything that you're seeing. We tell the story actually moving back in a flashback. We start in the room that you're seeing now in 1943, after going through a corridor where we see what the Jewish world was like, pictures of Jews circa 1930. We move on from there straight into 1943. At the end of that room with the pictures, you're going to see a wall that says that most of these Jews were no longer alive, were murdered by April 1943. April 1943 is the month of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. It's the month of the Bermuda Conference. It's the month that a lot of things happen throughout the world. It's also the month of Pesach. And we show there a microcosm, an instant in time, what was happening in the Jewish world in April 1943. But that raises questions. That raises the question to people who are visiting the exhibition. Who are these Jews? Why are people persecuting them? And that's what you just see, the 2,000-year history of anti-Judaism and anti-Semitism.
So is this exhibit, because this exhibit has Holocaust in the name, so is it about the Holocaust per se, or is it about anti-Semitism and the Jewish history as a whole?
It's most definitely about the Holocaust. But you can't just start from 1933 and Hitler's rise to power. There are people who like to describe it from it's a train going on the tracks in Germany, and all of a sudden the train is derailed between 1933 and 1945, and everything goes back to normal after Hitler's no longer in power. No, it didn't happen like that. So we have to explain how Hitler came to power, why people hated the Jews, why rises in anti-Semitism are based on pre-racial anti-Judaism. And only after we show an entire room of who the Jews are and why they were hated throughout the ages, then we move into Hitler's rise to power. What happens to the Jews in Germany? What happens to the Jews in other countries as Nazism expands? What are the different fates of the Jews? How they try to stay alive. We have the stories of the persecutors. We have the stories of the victims. We have the stories of the survivors. We have the stories of the bystanders, the collaborators, and the upstanders. And one of the things that we know is the fine line between just standing on the sides and watching and then getting into the fray on one of the two sides.
So that brings me really to something that caught my eye. I understand, can you tell me maybe about some of the particularly noteworthy or really special items that are on display for the first time ever? I think one of the things I saw in the presser was Heinrich Himmler's personal copy of Mein Kampf with his little pencil notations in the borders, which, I wonder if you learned anything from reading his notation as well.
Not much that we didn't know. Let's say that he didn't particularly like the Jews, but we really didn't need that to show it. However, there is nothing like seeing it with your own eyes. You can tell a story, but when you can actually see what he's writing there, you see that Himmler on the bottom, and you see the date, that is incredible. We have objects. Everybody who worked on the exhibition has the one or two objects that really mean something to them. So if you'd like, I could tell you the story of one or two of the objects that are particularly significant to me.
Maybe just one, briefly,
Okay, so in one of the rooms, there's what looks like a floor rug. It's a tattered piece of cloth. And this is a rug that a Jew who was deported in Romania in 1941, and he and his family were taken to Transnistria, where the Jews of the Bukovina were deported to the Romanians wouldn't let him into the house to take a coat or something. He was working in the fields. This was a place the Jews were farmers. His name was Nachman Enzenberg. And he grabbed this and he put it around his shoulders. And this was the only coat that he had for almost a year. When he was taken, he marched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. And then he and his wife and his children were sent to the Mogilev ghetto in Transnistria, where he eventually died to death of starvation. And his daughter, who survived, took this rug and she saved it. And eventually, in the late 1990s, she donated it to the Museum of Jewish Heritage. One of the reasons that it's so significant is that Nachman Enzenberg was my great-grandfather.
Oh, wow. Well, this is just an amazing curated show, a display exhibit. And I can't wait to come see it myself. I want to let everybody know real quick, of course, now that it is at the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York. It's open Sunday through Friday. Tickets are available online at mjhnyc.org. Yehudi, thank you so much for joining us again today.
You're welcome. Go see the exhibition. It's really worthwhile.